Hey guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Go video. Today, as you guys may or may not know, Palkia is leaving raid battles later today at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which in New York Standard Time is going to be 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you guys have yet to get your Palkia, be sure to do so because it is leaving raid battles today. And coming through to replace Palkia has been leaked, as we probably may or may not know, is most likely coming. It's in fact going to be Dialga. So Dialga is coming to replace Palkia in raid battles. So this is pretty exciting because this is actually another legendary Pokemon that a lot of people, including myself, have been waiting for, and I cannot wait to go into full depth about this Pokemon because Dialga is going to be a very exciting Pokemon to be doing raids against, and it's going to be a pretty exciting one to boot with that as well. So yeah, so Dialga is, in fact, we're going to scroll down here a little bit real quick before we go into the full details here. It's weak to actually fighting and ground. Dialga does not have a weakness to dragon. It's actually neutral to dragon, having that steel typing. So Dialga is a steel and dragon type. It is the ruler of time and the mascot of Pokemon Diamond version, while Palkia was the ruler of space, and Palkia was the mascot of Pokemon Pearl version, in case you guys have played the game before. But Dialga here in Pokemon Go has a raid boss CP of 53,394 CP. It's going to be, as I mentioned before, it is weak to only fighting and ground types. So it's time to bust. It's time to put away the dragons. Even although Latias is going to still be in raid battles for until March 1st. So she's going to be around for about another day. So and then she's going to be leaving raid battles March 1st at 1 p.m. Pacific time, which is going to be 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if you guys have yet to get your shiny Latiases, be sure to get them. And I do apologize, I haven't been posting because, as I mentioned before, I have been grinding pretty hard to get the shiny Latiases, and I have now acquired three shiny Latias. So I'm pretty happy about that. And on top of that, they're all weather boosted, so pretty hyped about that. So now, with that being said, let's go ahead and we're going to be going in full depth talking about Dialga and the best Pokemon to use and all that fun stuff. So, as with all these legendary raid guys, if you guys are excited for Dialga, and if you guys enjoy these raid guides and in-depth analysis on these Pokemon, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what you guys think. And without further delay, let's go ahead and get into this Pokemon. So Dialga, as mentioned, is a steel and dragon type Pokemon. So it is weather boosted if it happens to be windy or snowy, or snowy conditions. So odds are we're not going to get the snow condition anytime soon. I mean, we may have some more snow in the future while we still are in the winter time. But if we do have windy weather, then Dialga is going to be weather boosted then, which is going to be pretty insane. So here we go. So 100% Dialga, in case you guys are curious, is 2307 in normal weather conditions. So if it's not windy or snow, you get 100% IV Dialga is going to in fact be 2307, and 100% maxes out at 4038 CP, which is actually I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the 4th legendary Pokemon to actually go over the 4000 CP mark, which is insane. And if you happen to have windy or snow conditions at the time, then Dialga, 100% IV for Dialga is going to be 2884. So that's for a weather boosted level 25 Dialga. If it's regular conditions, you're going to be looking for 2307. So, and as I mentioned right here, it has 100% IV, maxes out at 4038, making it the 4th. No, sorry, I'm mistaken. This is actually going to be the 5th Pokemon to actually break the 4000 CP mark, because we have Mewtwo, Kyogre, Groudon, Slaking, and now Dialga. I mean, I could be wrong. I think Ho-Oh maxes out above 4,000 as well. I could be wrong. I don't remember the numbers by heart right now, but I'm actually going to look this up as we go ahead and continue through talking about Dialga here. But as you see here, Dialga is going to be, let's go ahead and go into the counters here. Dialga is going to have 2 weaknesses like Palkia. Palkia had a weakness to Fairy and Dragon. But Dialga here is actually the first dragon, if I'm not mistaken, to actually not have the weakness to Fairy or Dragon. So, yes, so Dialga is a really cool Pokemon. I like this a lot because of the fact that it doesn't have the weakness. Okay, yes, Ho-Oh doesn't exceed 4,000. It only maxes out at 3863, unless it's the wrong information. I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about Dialga, some good Pokemon to use against Dialga. So, As you guys already know, the Supreme counters are going. The Supreme counter is going to be, of course, Young Flex like Machamp, aka Young Machamp in the building. So Machamp is going to be your best choice against Dialga in every spec using it. So any Pokemon that's weak against fighting types, Machamp is going to, of course, just shine really well against Dialga here. Counter Dynamic Punch is the moveset you 100% want to go for. You don't want anything else. Close combat's okay too. If you don't have charge TMs, close combat does okay as well. But you definitely 100% want the Dynamic Punch because it definitely is going to be doing the most DPS possible against Dialga. So I mean, I could be wrong. I have to look at the numbers again. But we do know that Machamp is going to be a very strong counter against Dialga. So definitely want to pack some of those. I know I have a full squad of team flex and Machamps. So you already know I'm definitely gonna be busting those out for sure. Breloom is actually going to be pretty good. But keep in mind, it is going to be a bit of a glass cannon, so definitely keep that in mind. It is actually going to surpass Machamp in terms of doing more damage. So basically, what I'm saying is Breloom is actually going to do a bit more, slightly more damage than Machamp does. So Breloom is definitely not a pretty good choice, especially because one of Dialga's charge moves happens to be Thunder, which we're gonna go ahead and talk about the moves in just a moment. But Breloom is gonna be really good but keep in mind it is going to faint a bit faster than Machamp, so do keep that in mind. So it's best to bring Breloom only if Dialga most likely carries the Thunder. Otherwise, I would definitely stay away from using Breloom. But keep in mind, Draco Meteor is going to hurt so super hard against all of these counters. So I think if anything, Draco Meteor is gonna OHKO Breloom, which in that case you definitely want to stay away from Breloom. You just want to go ahead and use your Machamps. Machamp is just gonna be just all of your best counter for sure. Of course, Machamp is actually not hard at all to get because you can actually get it. If I'm not mistaken, it should be a current level 3 raid boss as we're making this video, and I'm pretty sure Machamp is going to be staying around in raid as a level 3 anyway, because usually when Niantic releases legendaries, they usually tend to bring out level 3s and 4s that actually will counteract the level 5 raid bosses. So like for example, like let's say if Latias was a raid boss, then you could expect Pokemon like Absol or Pokemon like, Gengar, which I mean Gengar's not really a great choice, but it still does well. Tyranitar obviously is a great choice against Latias. Just as a perfect example there. So we could see Machamp being a level 3 again. Obviously, Breloom being a fighting type, I'm pretty sure they're going to feature that in raids because, again, it's a fighting type and it's going to be hitting Dialga pretty hard. So, Breloom, even although it is a glass cannon, Breloom is definitely not a slouch whatsoever. So do keep that in mind. So definitely recommend you at least bring some of those to battle against Dialga. Granted, you definitely want the counter Dynamic Punch. You do not want Seed Bomb or Sludge Bomb because none of those are going to be doing very little damage. So there you go. Next up we're going to be talking about is Hariyama. So Hariyama here, it's going to have more stamina than Machamp. It's just going to be doing, I think it's going to be doing a little lesser damage than Machamp or Breloom. But what Hariyama does have that they don't is some really high stamina. So it's going to be able to survive a bit longer than both of these two. So keep that in mind. Hariyama's not a bad choice at all. If you guys don't have Machamps, Hariyama's definitely a really good choice for sure. So definitely keep that in mind. And then Lucario with counter close combat is going to do really well here, especially if Dialga does pack the Metal Claw, or if it has Draco Meteor, which Lucario being a part steel as well, being steel fighting, is going to be able to resist the Draco Meteor and Iron Head. So granted, it's still going to be doing a decent amount of damage, but it's going to perform pretty well against Dialga. So definitely want to consider bringing Lucario for sure, because Lucario is going to do well against Dialga. Definitely worth considering as well. So definitely keep that in mind. If you guys happen to have it in your area, then congratulations. Heracross with counter and close combat is going to do really well as well. Toxicroak is also going to be doing really well is going to be doing a solid choice as well. But keep in mind, Toxicroak. Toxicroak is not that bad of a Pokemon. I don't think so. So definitely worth considering against Dialga with counter and dynamic punch. So basically, the idea is this is going to be fighting type central now because with Dialga being a steel type, you definitely want to take advantage of those fighting types because they're gonna be doing pretty well against Dialga, and they do pretty considerable damage as well. So yeah, and Toxic Croak is actually no slouch either. It's just a bit of a glass cannon, so definitely keep that in mind if you guys if it happens to get taken out pretty quickly. And Groudon is definitely a pretty good choice as well, especially if you happen to have sunny weather. Then Groudon is going to be putting in some work as well with Mud Shot and Earthquake. I think it's definitely a fairly strong counter, especially if Dialga does happen to pack Thunder, because that is one of Dialga's charge moves. Then Groudon's going to be taking 50% less damage from that Thunder being a ground type. So definitely worth considering using Groudon if you have those, because Groudon has been out ever since the Hoenn event. So I'm pretty sure a majority of you guys people have Groudon. But if you don't have Groudon, there are some other Pokemon which we're gonna go into most likely. Which after this Pokemon we're gonna go down into the other Pokemon that can be used against Dialga. So if you guys don't have these Pokemon, don't worry. There are other Pokemon you can use to counteract Dialga. So definitely keep that in mind. But these are some of your best contenders against Dialga for sure. The best being the Machamp, aka Young Flex like Machamp. So keep that in mind. So now let's go ahead and go into more counters here. We have Blaziken getting a good mention here with counter and Focus Blast. Blaziken's not too bad, especially since if Dialga has the Iron Head, Blaziken can survive that, can take a couple of those hits, so it's not too bad. So it's not too bad. But again, Dialga with Draco Meteor is going to be doing significantly huge damage, so definitely keep that in mind if you guys use a Battle League again while you're battling it. It's going to do a massive amount of damage with that Draco Meteor. So keep that in mind. And fairies are not going to be doing too well here because, again, while Dialga is a dragon type, it is part steel, and the steel type is going to counteract those fairy types. So fairy types are just not going to do so well at all against this legendary because of that steel typing. Next up, we got Gallade. Low kick close combat is going to finally get its use for sure. Gallade's not a bad choice as well either. Yeah, and then Rhyperior with Mud Shot, Mud Slap, Earthquake. Rhydon, it could be a tier 4 potentially as well, and there's a pretty good chance it will be. So we could see Rhydon coming back as a tier 4. We also have Golem that could potentially be a tier 4 as well. And Poliwrath, which can also potentially be a tier 4 as well. Which we had Poliwrath as a tier 4 in the past. It's been a while since it's been in raids, but I can see Poliwrath coming back as a 4 potentially as well. Rock Smash, Dynamic Punch is definitely a move that you want. Poliwrath is definitely not a bad choice, but be careful if Dialga does pack Thunder. It's going to OHKO it for sure, being Water type. So it's gonna. Other than that, it's definitely not a bad choice. You got Donphan with Mud. I said Donphan. Well, yeah, Donphan here with counter Earthquake on the bottom. You can also run Mud Slap on it as well, since Donphan now has access to Mud Slap. It has that double. It definitely has that double ground type moveset that has been craving for so long. And against Thunder, it's gonna take 50% less damage, like Groudon, Rhyperior, and of course Mamoswine, which is mentioned over here with Mud Slap and Bulldoze. Mamoswine's not a bad choice either. You also have Mewtwo with Psycho Cut, Focus Blast as a good generalist attacker. Not really the best, but it's also not bad. And then, as mentioned before, there's Rhydon with Mud Slap and Earthquake as well. So there you go, guys. These are some other Pokemon you can use as well against Dialga. And then once we finish here, we're gonna go ahead and hop on Pokemon Go. I'm gonna go ahead and prepare my team to battle for Dialga. So we're gonna do that. But these are some of the idea Pokemon that you definitely want to use against Dialga. Although you do have a group of 20 people, it doesn't matter too much. But actually, no, I'm lying. It does kind of matter because if you bring the right Pokemon and you can contribute more damage, then it's definitely gonna help to bring the right Pokemon for sure. But aside from that, it's not too bad. So there you have it, guys. These are some of the counters here. Now let's go ahead and go to a bit of moves here. So as mentioned, Dialga's fast moves are Dragon Breath and Metal Claw, and then charge moves it gets Draco Meteor, Iron Head, and Thunder. So unlike Palkia, which actually had Dragon Tail and Dragon Breath, Dialga unfortunately does not have access to Dragon Tail. So it's a bit of a bummer, but it does have Dragon Breath and Metal Claw, so it does have that double steel typing moveset. The only problem is Iron Head is not really too great, but I suppose for PvP, Dialga is not a bad choice because it does get It does have Dragon Breath, which does really well in PvP, and then Draco Meteor is just going to be hitting super hard, and it's still going to be doing a pretty considerable amount of damage to every one of the counters, barring fairy. I mean, you can use fairy types as well, but keep in mind they're not going to be super effective at all on Dialga, so definitely keep that in mind. Your best bet against Draco Meteor would be Machamp and Hariyama if you guys have those. Otherwise, you can also rock out Lucario, and there's some other Pokemon here you can use as well that can do well against Dialga as well. So Iron Head is not much of a big deal. It doesn't do as much damage, but considering Dialga does have a massive 275 attack, it's not as high as Palkia, but it's still going to be hitting hard like a truck. It's still going to do a considerable amount of damage. The easiest move will most likely be Thunder. So Thunder is going to be doing Thunder's really going to be the one that's going to be doing the least amount of damage. So if the Dialga has Thunder, it's easy to tell if what moveset it has. Usually it will recommend Pokemon that resist these moves. Like for example, against Thunder, they usually will recommend ground types. So keep that in mind. Iron Head is not too bad. Iron Head and Thunder are not really that bad. Draco Meteor is the one that really is going to be doing the most damage for sure, even against all these counters, barring Lucario. Lucario could definitely take a hit, being part steel, but keep that in mind. Anyways, guys, that is it. That is the Dialga raid guide. Shout out to the Pokemon Go Hub team for all the amazing work. It says here Dialga is not yet available Pokemon Go, but that's going to change very soon, and I cannot wait. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and hop on Pokemon Go, and I'm going to go ahead and build my team. So I'll see you guys there. Okay guys, so we are now here on Pokemon Go, and yes, before anybody asks me if I checked these, I already did. No shiny on either of those, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my teams. Usually what I always like to do is, I always like to build my teams with the best counters I have most possible. And oh, look at that, perfect. That's basically the team I'm going to be using against Dialga 100% because Machamp is it does the most DPS. It just does so much damage, and with cloudy weather, it's a monster. It's gonna do well against Dialga for sure, and definitely a Pokemon that I recommend you guys use for sure. And then other Pokemon like Mamoswine. Well, not this team. I used this team for the Dragonite raid. If you guys did not check that, if you guys saw that, haven't checked that one yet, be sure to do so. It was pretty crazy. That Dragonite was putting in so much work. But I'm gonna type in Dialga here because this team is gonna be basically running around Dialga. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the two types that is gonna be beneficial the most to you guys when it comes to battling Dialga for yourself. So these are the types that you're gonna definitely want to consider having for sure. So number one for sure is definitely going to be Machamp with counter Dynamic Punch, as I always mentioned. So definitely want to use Machamp. Machamp is not that hard to acquire considering it is a current tier 3 raid boss and most likely will be staying in raid battles considering it is a very strong counter against Dialga. So most likely we're going to be seeing Machamp. Machamp is definitely going to be a Pokemon you 100% want to make sure you guys have on your team when you go ahead and battle against Dialga. It's a really good Pokemon, really strong choice as well. So it definitely a Pokemon that you definitely want to consider having for sure. Next up, I'm going to recommend is Groudon with the Mud Shot and Earthquake, like I mentioned. Groudon is a very strong Pokemon, and it can actually do really well against the Thunder variant of Dialga. So if Dialga does happen to pack the Thunder, then it's going to actually do really well against that as well. Because, well, it's going to do extremely well because being a ground type is going to take 50% less damage from that Thunder. So definitely keep that in mind. So, and that's for all ground types. All the ground types, like if Dialga has Thunder, definitely want to keep a sharp eye. Definitely want to use those ground types. They do a pretty good, considerable amount of damage, especially like Groudon. But they're kind of, outclassed by Pokemon like Machamp. But, if you don't have Machamp, then you could always go with Pokemon like say for example Golem, which wasn't mentioned before. Golem's not a bad choice either with the Mud Slap and Earthquake. Not the best choice, but it's also not a bad choice if you guys don't have anything other on top of that. Rhydon, same moveset, Mud Slap, Earthquake. Rhyperior, same moveset, Mud Slap, Earthquake. So Rhyperior. Oh, another Pokemon they didn't mention, which actually should have actually been mentioned on that list 100%, is of course Swampert. Swampert with Mudshot Earthquake. Swampert is actually a fairly good choice against Dialga. The reason being is because it is a water and ground type Pokemon, which means it's going to be resisting two of Dialga's moves, being the Iron Head, which is resisted by the water typing of Swampert, and Thunder, which being a ground type, it takes 50% less damage from that Thunder. So Swampert's not a bad choice either with Mudshot and Mudshot. Yeah, I got it right. Mudshot and Earthquake for sure. Of course, keep in mind it's not going to be doing the most damage, but it's definitely not a bad choice either. Especially if it happens to be the clear weather at the time. Swampert's going to be putting in a lot of work as well too for sure. You also have Hariyama. Again, it's going to be one of your top best contenders against Dialga with counter dynamic punch alongside Breloom, which we'll look into that in just a moment. Blaziken is actually not a bad choice either with counter focus blast. Keep that in mind. You got Donphan with counter or Mud Slap as his fast move, and then Earthquake as his charge move. You have Heracross with counter close combat. In case you guys, if you have those, then those will be doing really well as well. Keep that in mind. I already mentioned Rhydon. Gliscor is actually not a bad choice either. With the, but I believe it doesn't get a quick charge, fast move, ground type charge, a fast move. But it does get access to Earthquake. But Gliscor, I don't think is really that good at all against Dialga. I mean, while it does does even pack the Earthquake? Let me double check. Gliscor it does resist the Thunder, but it doesn't have a quick time. It doesn't have a quick fast ground type fast move. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend. Actually, I wouldn't even recommend Gliscor at all, to be perfectly honest. So well, it does get Earthquake, but it doesn't get a quick type fast move. It gets Fury Cutter and Wing Attack, but it's not. I mean, it's a choice, but I wouldn't recommend it at all personally. Infernape with counter and overheat. Oh, sorry, counter and focus. What's it called? No, close combat. Sorry, counter and close combat is also not a bad choice. It does resist the Iron Head like Blaziken, so Infernape is another good choice you can use. Torterra is not bad either. If I'm not mistaken, Torterra does get access to a quick ground type move. I'm gonna look into that in a second. I'll let you guys know. Let's keep scrolling a little more. Breloom, which is a really good choice here. Again, Breloom actually does a bit more DPS than Machamp, but again, just keep in mind that it's going to be fading a lot quicker than Machamp, so definitely keep that in mind. However, Breloom does resist Thunder, unlike Machamp, which cannot resist Thunder. Breloom's not a bad choice either, so definitely keep that in mind. And no, Torterra does not get a quick ground type move, so definitely I wouldn't recommend Torterra. But if you guys have it, you can always use it. But anyways, going back to Breloom, counter dynamic punch, definitely want that. I personally am going to use one myself. Flygon's not bad either with Mudshot and Earthquake, so that's not a bad choice at all. Wouldn't use Nidoking because it doesn't have access to a quick fast move, so definitely don't recommend that. Toxic Croak with counter and dynamic punch is also not a bad choice either. Camerupt is decent as well with Rock Smash and Earthquake, which both of those moves are super effective on Dialga. And actually, you know what? Camerupt's not a bad choice because considering it is a fire and ground type, it's going to resist the Iron Head and takes 50% less damage from Thunder being a ground type. So Camerupt's not a bad choice either. So keep that in mind. Sandslash is also not bad with Mudshot Earthquake as well. I believe it also gets Bulldoze as well, so that's not too bad either. As an alternative attacker there, if you guys don't have the top contenders, there's some other Pokemon here you can use like Poliwrath, Counter Dynamic Punch has been mentioned, Marowak, just a few Pokemon there. But anyways, Hitmonchan and the Hitmons as well can also do pretty well in that regards as well. So I'll just put the Gallade in there. Gallade with the counter and close combat. Oh no, sorry, it doesn't get counter. It gets low kick. Sorry, it gets low kick and close combat. You definitely want the fighting type moves. That's what you primarily want for sure against Dialga. So keep that in mind. So there you have it, guys. That's gonna be my full depth analysis on Dialga. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for Dialga? I sure as heck am excited. I got my team flex my flex army ready to go. So yeah. Um, Good luck with Dialga, and it's gonna be pretty exciting to fight Dialga at last. So that's gonna be exciting. And yeah, um, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment if you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, stay safe, happy gaming. And this is Lios NYC signing out.